Welcome to the home of Joseph and Margaret Nuck, who immigrated to Huntington in 1841 from Elmstein, Germany. The decision to leave Germany was based on their fear for their two sons, John, who was 14, and Matthias, who was 11, being drafted into the Prussian army. John would have been a soldier, but Matthias would likely have been a drummer boy, and that was without doubt one of the most dangerous jobs in the army. Mrs. Nuck's brother had already immigrated to Huntington County and had written letters about all of the opportunities available here, so they made the decision to sell their home in Elmstein and move to Huntington. It was a 2-month journey from Elmstein to America, and the whole trip was made via water. Up the Rhine, through the English Channel, across the Atlantic, up the Hudson River, the Erie Canal, Lake Erie, down the Maumee River, and to the last stage on the Wabash and Erie Canal to Huntington. Unfortunately, John died while they were crossing Ohio, and he's buried along the canal there. 2 months after they arrived in America, their last child, Matilda, was born, the only one of the family who was a naturalized American. When they came here, both Joseph and Matthias went to work for Chief LaFontaine as woodcutters. Joseph had been a carpenter in Germany, and so this was a natural way for them to make a living. Their oldest daughter, Mary, went to work as a personal house servant for the chief and actually lived in the chief's house. After 7 years of working for Chief LaFontaine, they were able to save enough money, and they bought 70 acres out of what is now Rangeline Road and built this house. It was lived in by Nuck descendants until about 1970, and a few years later it was offered to us and moved from its original location to this site here at the Forks. This is a log house, not a log cabin. There are 2 bedrooms upstairs, and originally there was only one main room on the floor because you were taxed based on the number of rooms in your home. So the wall that you see there now was most likely not present when the Nucks first lived in here. And like those of us today, they wanted the most modern conveniences for their home that they could possibly get. So all of the archaeological evidence says this house never had a fireplace, that it was always heated with a wood stove, which they would have been able to acquire via the canal shipped in from a foundry in Ohio. The main room was also the workroom of the house. In the evenings, the women would have spent time making quilts, doing knitting, weaving, making the clothes for the family. The men of the family could have used that time to repair tools, make new tools for the household. If they had a second occupation, they could have possibly done things like making shoes or other things that the family needed. There was usually a little time at the end of the day left for recreation, and so checkers or chess or some simple games would have been available to be played. The evening typically finished with Bible readings before bedtime. The Nucks being German, their Bible was in German, and it probably was the only book that they were able to bring with them from Germany. Because when you look at that big wooden trunk that's in what is now the parlor, a family of 6 was able to bring that trunk plus small valises that they used during travel, and that was all they were able to bring from their home in Germany. The kitchen has a very unusual cooking stove. Because of the small footprint of the house, they chose a stove that was smaller in circumference, and the oven is very unusual because it's mounted in the chimney flue as opposed to being located beside the firebox. All of these things were important for their survival, and the family prospered, and over the years they were able to pass down to their descendants a very nice piece of property here in Huntington County.